Now heading for the fuel cells.
Great. We'll keep a working cargo drone on standby. Just look for a good fuel cell and we'll handle the rest.
Roger that. Given the damage the Estrella has sustained, I would not expect even a simple system such as this to remain operational. How was that achieved?
The Estrella was built for war. Her high level of redundancy and modularity limits most damage to the compartment that sustained it. In the case of that display, it is still receiving power from micro-generators and integrated capacitors.
All within that part of the ship?
All within that hallway.
We would never even consider building something so vulnerable to the biomass.
Suffice to say, Doctor, the biomass was not a threat we anticipated. Though I'm afraid beyond that, the details are classified.
Of course they are.
The controls near the drive bay door may be used to gain access, Jack.
Apollo, can we rely on the remaining munitions to stay in place?
Affirmative. With the ship now stabilized, these warheads should remain safely stowed.
The Estrella must have seen a few battles in its day, huh?
While the Estrella's combat history is above your clearance level, Captain, I can share this. Until faced with the biomass, she was undefeated in battle.
And here I was thinking my helium harvest totals made for an impressive record.
A spent biomass torpedo.
Just like every other that was left behind here. Useless for my research, unfortunately. As soon as one detonates, accessing its incubator is no longer tenable.
Jack, the fuel cells are protected behind a large security door. You'll need to activate a pair of nearby controls to gain access.
Apollo, do these controls operate the door?
Correct. To open the door, both controls will need to be engaged at the same time.
I've gained access to the drive bay.
Wait, those pillars in the center, are those?
The Estrella's FTL drives, yes.
Do they still work?
Theoretically. But unfortunately, they're of little use to us. With such a high concentration of biomass forms in this area, any attempt to remove one of the drives would prove futile.
Dr. Harlan, I'm noticing these ticks appear to be less evolved than those we've previously encountered.
Must have carried over from the last time jump. No doubt just as dangerous. I advise avoidance at all costs.
Jack, My monitoring systems are offline here. You'll need to manually inspect each fuel cell in order to determine its viability. Simply scan their data ports to get started.
Apollo, what are the chances that any of these fuel cells are still full?
The fuel cells were not designed for time travel, so unfortunately the odds of viability are incalculable. Scanning all their data ports will answer your query, however.
Fuel cell located.
Use the data port and I'll expose the cell for visual inspection.
Do we know what the biomass does specifically to an FTL drive to trigger a time jump?
I have a few theories.
As do I.
And I'm sure they're all equally preposterous.
The drive assembly looks remarkably like Dr. Harlan's FTL, if only a bit larger.
As I understand it, our drives were reverse engineered from the ones left behind on the Astrea 400 years ago. Their functionality hasn't improved since then.
Apollo, could one of these FTL drives contain a suitable replacement for the fuel cell?
Doubtful. All of these drives are likely depleted from the last jump. And even if that were not the case, I would still advise against venturing too close to those biomass swarms. If we're to leave here with a viable source of energy, it will need to be one of the fuel cells along the outer wall.
Empty. I'll have to keep looking.
Jack, if you access the data ports beside the storage cells, I can open them to allow further examination.
Apollo, could one of these infected fuel cells still be full?
It is conceivable, Jack. However, the infestation renders it impossible for me to extract the cell.
Understood, Apollo. I'll check the other cells.
Exposing fuel cell for your inspection, Jack.
Another empty cell.
Apollo, you're sure there's a good fuel cell there?
I never said I was sure, Captain Rhodes. It's simply the most likely location on my ship to contain a viable fuel cell, if any were remaining.
Right. If any were remaining.
Accessing fuel cell.
This does not look good. These cells are all empty.
Jack, before we remove any fuel cells, you'll first need to check their condition. Access the data ports near the cells so I may expose them for your inspection.
What is the purpose of retaining multiple FTL drives? I can't imagine it is simply for redundancy.
Multiple drives are the only way a ship the size of the Astrea can meet the mass energy requirements for faster-than-light travel. This is actually the ship's auxiliary drive bay. Its primary one was left behind, which, as you've seen, has made it exceedingly difficult to keep my ship in one piece.
Shields at 50%. Shields at 30%.
It's all right, Jack. Just stick to the outer walls and try to avoid touching any biomass.
I'm confused. Its AI pathing requires voice input?
What? No, You've got this, Jack. Don't worry, Doctor. If you run up against that many ticks, I'll be just as verbally encouraging.
Unfortunately, Captain Rhodes, being organic, I am permitted far fewer errors in judgment.
Jack, the data ports you need to access are located on the storage units running along the room's perimeter.
Viable fuel cell located. Hopefully enough to power Dr. Harlan's FTL drive.
Nicely done, Jack. I'm sending a drone your way.
Send two.
What for? It's only one fuel cell.
Just trust me.
ticks swarmed the lead cargo drone.
And that is why you sent two.
I don't think we'll be using that one again.
Backup drone malfunctioning.
More ticks. The lead drone is disabled, but the backup still has a chance.
Pesky bastards, aren't they?
I'll clear them off. Cargo drone cleared.
Acknowledge. Thank you, Jack. Resuming flight. Drone is in place to collect the cargo.
Jack, I've activated the release controls on the fuel cell.
Cell released.
Cargo secured. Ready for departure.
Excellent. The fuel cell still needs to be latched into place once it arrives, Jack. The honor's all yours, if you like.
Given that we still need a contained biomass sample, I prefer to leave the hookup to you, as long as you're feeling well enough.
No, I've got it. I can handle things here. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. More of a guideline than a rule, actually.
Cargo drone returning in T-minus 10 seconds.
Better stay clear, Jack.
If you wish to return now, I advise taking hold of the drone. Cargo drone departing in 3, 2, 1. Firing thrusters.
The fuel cell is clear of the drive bay.
Great. There must be cargo plans ready to receive it here.
Shields at 50%. Dock online. The archives in this unit have been added to the dataset as well. Shields at 95%. This dock is now part of the computational array. Good news, Jack. Between data recovery and brute force computations, we now have a schematic prepared for regenerative shielding. Please proceed to the nearest fabricator at your earliest convenience, and we'll begin installation.
Juno, this appears to be some sort of communication antenna.
A signal relay, to be exact. It's a key part of Chiron Station's intranet, as well as the external comms array. There are many more of them located throughout the station. If we reactivate them, we should be able to recover any data they might have stored.
And what is it you hope to find, Juno?
It's likely that a large amount of research data is stored in their buffers. Data that should prove useful in developing a cure for the biomass.
Well, cheers to that.
How shall I proceed?
Well, there are several clusters of relays throughout the station. One cluster per major facility. The issue is that the relays within each cluster are no longer linked. Thus, manual relinking is required.
How is that achieved?
For a given cluster, you'll need to pull the activation switch on each of its constituent relays. However, that will trigger a timeout countdown. Once a relay is activated, you'll have only 25 seconds to activate another. Fortunately, doing so will renew the countdown.
25 seconds to activate each signal relay. Understood.
Shields at 95%. Warning, radiation field nearby. Shields at 95%.
Are the cargo drones performing work out here?
Not by any directive I've sent. Their active radiation dampeners suggest the drones are functioning properly, but their flight patterns are somewhat unusual at the moment.
Perhaps I can use them to explore the irradiated area.
Shields at 95%.
I'm entering what appears to be a small facility.
It's a control hub, a centralized location for coordinating cargo drones in the local vicinity.
A numeric code is required for entry.
Local logs indicate an engineer was working nearby around the time of the outbreak. Any chance of learning the code lies within finding them. Regenerative multispectral shielding installation complete. Jack, your shield should now automatically regenerate as long as it's not being actively depleted. Of course, this process can also be supplemented by charging docks if you so choose.
Ah, didn't quite make the computer cells out of a job then.
Indeed, they also remain quite valuable for recharging drones, and I shall continue to leverage their networks where possible.
Excellent. Thank you, Juno. This should make exploration away from chargers far safer.
My pleasure, Jack. Shields at 95%. I would advise caution, Jack. You were approaching a radiation field. Shields at 95%.
Juno, confirm operational procedures for the signal relays.
Once you pull an activation switch, the link timer will reset, giving you 25 seconds to find and pull another one. If you can do so in a timely manner, all the signal relays in a given cluster will successfully re-establish their network and remain active. Signal relay activated. Warning, 10 seconds remaining to complete linking sequence. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jack, you're running out of time. Warning, radiation field nearby. 3, 2, 1. Linking sequence timed out.
Juno, confirm operational procedures for the signal relays.
Once you pull an activation switch, the link timer will reset, giving you 25 seconds to find and pull another one. If you can do so in a timely manner, all the signal relays in a given cluster will successfully re-establish their network and remain active. Signal relay activated. Warning, 10 seconds remaining to complete linking sequence. Signal relay activated. Jack, you're running out of time. 5. Warning, 10 seconds remaining to complete linking sequence. 5. Approaching a radiation zone. 5, 4, 3. Signal relay activated. Shields at 95%. Jack, you're running out of time. Shields at 50%. Shields at 30%. 4, 3, 2, 1. Linking sequence timed out. I would advise caution, Jack. You were approaching a radiation field.
Juno, confirm operational procedures for the signal relays.
Once you pull an activation switch, the link timer will reset, giving you 25 seconds to find and pull another one. If you can do so in a timely manner, all the signal relays in a given cluster will successfully re-establish their network and remain active. Warning, 10 seconds remaining to complete linking sequence. 5, 4, Jack, you're running out of time. 5, 4, 3. Warning, 10 seconds remaining to complete linking sequence. 5, 4. Signal relay activated. Warning, radiation field nearby. Jack, you're running out of time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Warning, 10 seconds remaining to complete linking sequence. 5. Signal relay activated. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. That's it. You did it. With this cluster activated, I'm now able to inspect some previously inaccessible data. Excellent work, Jack. If you like, there are still more signal relay clusters that need to be activated elsewhere.
Copy that. I'll see what I can do. This device mounted on the surface of the asteroid. What purpose does it serve?
It's a thruster, part of the reaction control system for the facility. We use them to maintain orbit, station layout, and structural stress tolerances. Basically, they help keep everything in place.
I figured there had to be something like that set up. No way those thin tram lines are able to keep everything in place on their own.
Indeed, these thrusters are of such importance that they operate on their own independent power supply and network. Even in the event of a catastrophic failure of other systems, they're designed to keep working.
That's cool.
The facility appears to be in fairly poor condition, but there is at least some power flowing.
Due to the generator being restored.
Unfortunately, I'm still unable to access any systems further into the facility. Power flow stops at the entry terminal. It appears that the systems are outright disconnected, including the physical entry bridge. Jack, you'll need to reconnect those systems to gain entry to the facility.
Copy that. There's a room jutting into this cave. Could it be part of the biomass containment area?
Negative. The room you're seeing is part of the facility's integrity monitoring system, responsible for tracking any changes in the asteroid structure during excavation. For safety reasons, biomass containment is located much deeper in the facility.
This appears to be some sort of focusing device. I haven't seen anything like it elsewhere on Chiron Station.
It's actually a prototype of the technology our containment units use to keep Dix pacified.
As in the technology that shorted out while Jack and I were trapped in the engineering bay.
Yes, though that was due to the power cycling abnormally. I assure you, it's usually quite stable.
Yeah, one would hope.
This device looks vaguely similar to the cranes we saw in the transit hub.
Good eye, Jack. That's because it's an early version of the stasis field technology used by those cranes, as well as our cargo drones and many other systems. As you can imagine, the ability to manipulate objects without direct contact has significant advantages when dealing with the biomass.
Yes, advantages we continue to witness firsthand through Jack's grip projector.
Agreed. Somewhat odd to leave this case empty.
It's fairly straightforward. Our work was never finished.
A scale model of the FTL drive on Dr. Harlan's ship. Was the drive developed here?
Not exactly. While the few FTL drives still in service were refitted here, the original design was actually reverse engineered from the FTL drives left behind aboard the Estrella. That was done by your former employer, in fact.
Wait, Atlas built them?
Indeed. Before the company dissolved, of course.
Effectively, 22nd century Atlas reverse engineered their own 26th century technology.
Ah, that sounds perfectly normal and not at all confusing.
I would expect nothing less from our employer, past, present, or otherwise.
This bridge is currently disconnected, as part of the lockdown procedures.
Correct. The doors won't open until both sides of the bridge are fully extended.
Did they get everyone out?
According to these logs...
No. Not everyone got out.
Juno, are any of the station's X3 units still active?
Not exactly. My records indicate that all X3 neural matrices were transferred off Chiron Station during the evacuation.
Well, despite everything, it's nice that at least the androids made it out.
These are auxiliary controls for the extension bridges.
Correct, but they're currently inoperable. The power conduit extending from the entrance to the main facility has been retracted, likely an attempt to contain the biomass spread. To restore power to the extension mechanisms, you will need to re-engage the power conduit to cross the gap.
Understood. I will locate...
Re-establishing main generator connection. Be advised, Class 3 power fields will become active. Dormancy will be nullified.
Jack, power will soon be returning to the immediate area, as well as the rest of the research facility. Just keep in mind that you'll also be awakening any dormant biomass within.
That's a good point. By restoring power, we're undoing something that was put in place as a die-hard safety precaution.
We're certain this is the only place we're going to find a contained biomass?
Assuming these fragmented station logs are correct? Yes.
Well, that's reassuring.
Finalizing connection.
Connection established. Now receiving power readings throughout the facility. Jack, once you have the bridge fully extended, you should be able to access the facility proper. Though I suspect some areas may have additional security requirements.
Nora, the research director, would have done everything she could to contain the outbreak. But there is no containing it. This was an eventuality.
It's fortunate that your disagreement over priorities led you to be elsewhere when the outbreak occurred.
It's only fortunate if I'm right.
Dr. Harlan, if these power readings are accurate, our suspicions appear confirmed.
What's that now? What suspicions?
Educated guess, rather.
Which is different how?
The ticks aren't the only form of biomass that have been evolving since your time.
Great, so what's this one do? Open doors?
Quite the opposite, in fact.
It's best if you see for yourselves.
It seems someone was emphatic about maintaining the lockdown. I'm guessing the console would have controlled the bridge.
Affirmative.
I'm crossing into the main facility now.
Copy that, Jack.
Biomass has taken hold here.
Given that it got this far, the rest of the facility will likely be much worse.
Will the fabricator still be operational?
Yes, at least enough that Jack should be able to reboot without issue.
In the security control room, I found a casualty.
According to logs, Adler Reyes.
He must have been trying to keep the scanners running to prevent the biomass from leaving the facility.
But if someone failed to scan...
They would have had to remain behind. Unfortunately, even the scanning room itself became contaminated.
You think that's how it it spread to the rest of the station.
Most likely. With background contamination, the system would have had a difficult time producing accurate results. Inevitably, it failed.
Jack, you are now entering the facility's lobby. Biomass containment is located through the leftmost door.
This must be the evolved biomass form Dr. Harlan mentioned. It detects my presence, much like the other specimens encountered thus far.
We classify it as a reticulated B biomass organism, but most people just call them webs.
Aside from their namesake membrane, webs can also be recognized by an additional nodule. It should be quite distinct. Oh, and Jack, that distinct nodule I mentioned? Think of it as a sensor. If it detects you, it will stimulate the web's expansion reflex. Just something to keep in mind as you explore the station.
A further casualty of the biomass. In the lobby.
Dr. Brianna Levington.
She was one of our pathologists.
This area appears to be locked down.
That's the test wing. We should focus on reaching the containment area.
Electrical systems here are clearly suffering from extreme damage. The lobby's directory is effectively useless.
Good thing we've got someone who knows their way around.
Always happy to be of assistance, Captain.
I was actually talking about Dr. Harlan. But thanks.
Another one of the web forms. I still have no way to bypass.
Then try the labs. The research they were doing there might prove useful.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find.
Jack, the web in the lobby must be bypassed in order to reach biomass containment. I recommend searching the corridors for anything that might be useful. There was some biomass research data in there. Just a small amount, but every bit helps with the cure.
The X-3 shell is somewhat different from my original specification.
Does that present an issue?
Negative. I was merely noting that the new shell is a substantial upgrade.
Ah, then I'm pleased you were adapting so effortlessly. Approaching a radiation zone. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Shields at 30%. Maneuvering thruster data retrieved. Not quite enough to reverse engineer the concept, but a good find nonetheless. I would advise caution, Jack. You were approaching a radiation field. Advise you remain mindful of your surroundings, Jack. The area you are now entering was once a biomass storage site. If local readings are any indication, the infection is no longer contained.
The drone's behavior suggests it is attempting to gain entry.
Perhaps it's still trying to tabulate inventory.
Even after the outbreak?
Updating its command parameters wouldn't have been a priority, given the circumstances.
Juno, can you open the door?
Sorry, Jack. I'm unable to remotely connect to the systems here. Even if I could, the lockdown procedure is difficult to override. However, station schematics do show a control room nearby. Warning, radiation field nearby. Approaching a radiation zone. I would advise caution, Jack. You were approaching a radiation field.
Are these controls for the bay door?
Correct. The door was automatically sealed once containment protocols were breached.
Now entering the control room. This charger's condition is far from optimal.
The observation drone might have been responding to the malfunction. They do rely on them for recharging.
Biomass has rendered this cargo drone irrecoverable.
Perhaps the observation drone is attempting to check its status.
Juno, can you identify this device?
Regrettably not. While I have seen similar designs in the past, this particular apparatus is unknown to me.